You just reported that Senator Lindsey Graham's legal expense trust fund has raised six figures since November. Before we get into who's donating, why does he need so much money for legal expenses?
So Lindsey Graham got called into subpoena. He was subpoenaed to testify in the Fulton County District Attorney investigation into former President Trump and the allegations that he tried to overturn the election. Senator Graham fought the subpoena. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, took a couple months, and that's going to require some lawyers, and lawyers aren't cheap.
Are these legal bills unusually large, or is that a standard amount a politician typically faces, especially of Lindsey Graham's stature?
Sure, it's much higher. You can see a big spike. So for example, Senator Graham paid it was over $200,000, and it was $268,000 to be precise, in legal fees to one firm on one day back in November, at the end of November. And when you see a six-figure payout like that, it's usually indicative of an issue. Typically, obviously they're working with lawyers regularly. It's smaller, a few thousand here, a few thousand there. So if you start seeing a big expense like that, something's up.
And is this issue, has it seen a resolution, or is this going to be ongoing?
Well, I mean, obviously the district attorney's investigation is ongoing. I believe some of that's part of it's slated to be released soon. In terms of Senator Graham's involvement in it, I don't know. That's not public. He did end up testifying though, so that part has happened. So it is possible that his legal bills have peaked, but we don't know for sure yet.
And do senators usually offset their legal bills with donations?
Yes, members of Congress do. There's not many examples of this in the Senate. The most recent one was Richard Burr, who was investigated by the Department of Justice for some stock trades he made at the beginning of the pandemic. There were allegations of insider trading. He was ultimately not charged with anything, and he similarly had a legal expense trust fund where most of the donors were fellow senators. And you see this in the House a lot as well. There are probably 7 or 8 lawmakers there who have active legal expense trust funds at any given time.
And how do donors feel about this? When you're donating, do you know that you're donating specifically to the legal expense trust fund, or do you think, oh, I'm donating to this candidate?
That's an excellent question, Brittany. And that when you donate, you can donate directly to the legal expense trust fund. So that the people who were on the disclosure that I recently unearthed, they all knew what they were doing. But candidates are able to use political funds to pay for legal fees as long as the legal issue results from their official duties, something to do with them being in office. So it is quite possible that if you wrote a check for whatever candidate, gave that candidate, the donation, and then the candidate got in trouble, they could go ahead and use political funds to offset their legal fees.
And let's talk about where these donations came from. They almost exclusively came from either lawmakers or executives of companies. So let's start with the executives. Who are they?
Sure. Robert Castellani is one of them. Three of them stood out in that they have really deep ties to the government. One of them, Robert Castellani, he's the CEO of North American Rescue. He donated $10,000, which is the max. His company is a government contractor providing medical products, and it's done over $100 million in federal contracts. One of the other ones, he chairs a company that works with immigration, helping to get foreign investors permanent residency status in the U.S. And for his company to operate, it needs regular approval by the Office of Immigration and Citizenship. So these are places that definitely need government to be on their good side, and here they are. And this is all legal. Giving $10,000 to Senator Graham's defense. My favorite person I reached out to was, he's also the only person who responded, so it makes it easy to be the favorite. He's owned a casino development firm down in South Carolina. And when I asked him about, why did you donate to Senator Graham's defense, his response was, I've worked with the senator for over a decade. I was happy to chip in. No surprise, of course he was.
Do these executives have specific relationships aside from that one to Lindsey Graham, or is it a larger thing here of I want to donate to a lawmaker?
I asked them about that. I asked Senator Graham's spokesperson about that. He didn't answer that part of the question, just said that Senator Graham complies with all rules and regulations. But a lot of the times when you look at people who've donated to legal trust funds for a candidate, they've also made political donations to that candidate as well.